just did a bad thing. I regret the thing I did. And you're wondering what it is. I'll tell you what I did.
Hi, I'm Josh. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a book haul. So today is March 15th. No, today is March 14th. And I decided to start this book haul because I did a bad thing and bought more books than I should have. Last month I did a count of all the books I own. Hopefully by now that TBR video will be up, that sort of discussion. And long story short, I have this goal where I can only buy as many new books that I haven't read as I have read from my backlist the month before. So, to explain what that means, of all the books that I read, some of them are from books that I bought before 2020. Those are what I consider my backlist books. Last month, I read 8. So theoretically, this month in March, I should be able to buy 8 new books. That doesn't include books that I've already read but don't know. Earlier this month, I bought 2 books on abooks.com, and then a few days later, I bought 7 more books on thriftbooks.com. Now, I did technically break the rule by going one over, but I thought, okay, this is okay. It's only a couple. It's only one over. I just have to go the rest of the month without buying any more books. 10 days later, or about halfway through the month, and I did a bad thing. So I may have gone a little stir crazy and bought a lot of books. I thought, if I'm going to buy these, I might as well go on and buy these too. So that's sort of the downside of setting a personal goal. It's like once I break it, it's like, who cares? It's the same when I try and diet. It's like just making things worse. So in any case, I decided to do this book haul to hold myself accountable. Talk about all the new books I'm getting. And I'll get back to you when they come in the mail in about a week or so. It's not the darkest timeline. Because amongst all the darkness, there is hope. I'm going to be honest here, I'm not sure what to do because I'm not going to rub these books down with alcohol. I'll clean my hands after, but there's a risk here. I got a shit ton of books. My only defense is it's a very stressful time for all of us. But on the bright side, I just got a shit ton of books. Over 30 books. I have them semi-organized by how I bought them, which means sorted by genre. I'm going to start with horror because I went ham on buying a bunch of new horror authors I've never really heard of. The first one is Alice Isn't Dead, a novel by Joseph Fink. It is horror and I think comedy. The Demonologist, a novel by Andrew Piper. Not to be confused with a similar book by the same name about Ed and Lorraine Warren. I would not read nonfiction about them. They're scam artists. The next 2 are going to be Carter and Lovecraft by Jonathan L. Howard, and the sequel, After the End of the World, also by Jonathan L. Howard. I bought this because a long time ago, when I first found out about Book Outlet, I saw this on there, and I was so enamored by the cover. And then also when I learned about it being Lovecraft, which I'm a big fan of Lovecraft type stories. I love supernatural, I love really extravagant weirdness. This finally showed up, so I got it. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping even if it's not good, I can appreciate it for the Lovecraft side. The next one was sort of I was going to say impulse, but this is all impulse. But it's going to be Return to Fear Street. You May Now Kill the Bride by R.L. Stine. It's supposed to be a return to this old series called Fear Street, which I never actually read. I only ever watched his Goosebumps movies and TV shows, and I loved them at the time. But I figured maybe, just maybe, it would work for me, assuming it's not ghostwritten, which apparently is a thing with him. The next one is an anthology called Wonderland, an anthology of works inspired by Alice in Wonderland, edited by Marie O'Regan and Paul Kane. Dark, weird fiction. I thought it would be fun. Next one's going to be by Tananarive Due, and it's going to be My Soul to Take. I bought this because I think it's book 3 or 4 in a series, basically an urban fantasy series about vampires. Bought this because I found the second one at a local bookstore a couple weeks ago before quarantine, and I saw this one on Book Outlet, and I figured I'll go ahead and get this. I hope I don't hate the series, because I've already invested in it, for better or worse. The next one is Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. I ended up buying this because I like horror, and it got so much positive reviews from people back when it first came out. So I figured maybe it'd be a nice, cute, fun post-apocalyptic horror story. The next one's going to be In the Valley of the Sun by Andy Davidson. Now, it's something horror. It intrigued me enough to buy it. I know I said I went crazy and bought a bunch of books, which I did. But I still bought books that intrigued me, at least in some level. The Best of the Worst, The Best of the Best Horror of the Year, edited by Ellen Datlow, which is a collection of apparently of the best stories from a decade's worth of yearly collections of horror stories, also edited by Ellen Datlow. I've talked about a couple of her books. One of my favorite books of the year, Inferno, which I read for Backlist, which I have not posted that blog yet for. We're going to move on to the stage of books that I bought because I read Canada Reads. And that is to say, I participated in Canada Reads 2020. I read the books that have been elected or nominated for Canada Reads 2020. I'll post my vlog and review and discussion up here. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm also following the Facebook group Canada Reads 2020, where you have a bunch of people talking about the books. And someone posted a picture of how they have this shelf of past winners. And I thought, that's a brilliant idea. I should look into Book Outlet to see if they have any of the past winners. And of the 18 or so winners, I think they had at least 15. That's where this massive book haul first started, was when I got crazy excited by finding all these Canada Reads books on Book Outlet. Honestly, it makes sense that it would be on there. They're all mildly popular, but not so popular they would sell out. I'm going to start with Joseph Boyden, because I actually bought more than just the ones he's won. So there's Through Black Spruce, The Orienda. This is a Canada Reads winner. This was on the long list one year. The next one is The 3-Day Road, also by Joseph Boyden. I think when I bought this, I thought they were a trilogy. I'm hoping I like him. I actually had on my TBR this month, for Backlist at least, to read his short book, Windjack, which I didn't get to. So that's unfortunate. But these are on audio, Windjack is not, so it'll be easier. Nikolska by Nicholas Dickner. Next one's going to be Next Episode by Hubert Aquin, one in 2003. Something Fierce by Carmen Aguirre. I don't know what this is about. I should stop saying I don't know what you need them about. The Best Laid Plans by Terry Fellis. Now a major TV series. I should check it out. Next up is going to be In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje. Next one's going to be A Complicated Kindness by Miriam Toews. Or Toes. Miriam Toews, perhaps? Next one's a graphic novel, and it's pretty thick, called Essex County by Jeff Lemire. I didn't actually know this was a comic when I bought it, but I mean, it's kind of intimidating, but at the same time, it's just a lot of pictures, so it shouldn't be that bad. I'm not the only one who likes to smell new books. If I am, I'm weird now. Next one is The Illegal by Lawrence Hill. There are two 40% off stickers on both sides of this. And finally, Mark Sakamoto's book, Forgiveness, A Gift from My Grandparents. Okay, the next set of books are going to be books that are more general, from a couple of YA, I think, some nonfiction, and general fiction, science fiction, weird fiction, and thrillers. First one is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. But purely on the cover here, it seemed like one of those hard-hitting contemporaries that would be a fun read. Know literally nothing about this. This was a sign of me going way over the deep end. Next up is The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I have, from a thrift store, the same edition of East of Eden, or the same type of whatever this is called. And I was almost got Grapes of Wrath, which is the book that I wanted to read for the longest time. In addition to East of Eden, I haven't read anything besides The Mice and Men. They had this and Grapes of Wrath, and then I took too long to order. If I hadn't bought so many books, maybe I would have gotten it. But sadly, I only got this one. But I would like to get the rest of them. I really love the book. of Mice and Men. It's one of my favorite books of all time, even though I've only read it once. I really want to reread it this year at some time. The next two are books by David Sobel, and that's going to be Longitude, a book. It's a nonfiction book. David Sobel writes books about history of science, so it's something to do with location and probably mapping. Next up is The Planets. It's not a dry cough. It's a congested cough, but it could be both. Might not want to borrow my books for a while. The Planets by David Sobel is another nonfiction book. This one, probably the most intriguing, just because I study the planets. I'm curious what this is going to be talking about. I imagine I have to start with the basics, like Copernicus. These books look so small, which is just so surprising, because I have one book. I have two other hardback books of hers, which are way bigger, and they come across so tiny paperback. And if you watch my March TBR again, you'll know that I'm reading one of hers this month anyways. I also met her, just briefly. Next up is going to be Tin Man by Sarah Winman. This is an LGBT or queer book, and I bought that for that reason. Also the cover. This cover is beautiful. I was really hesitant to buy it. I made an exception for this because of the cover and because it's LGBT, and I don't read enough LGBT content. I need to read more, and so I decided to make a point to buy this. Same for this one, which I've seen on Book Outlet for the longest time and never bought, but this is how it always is. I know I just released my Queer Weekend-a-thon TBR, and I didn't include these because I could have, but honestly I was just so excited about getting a chance to read books that I already owned, because I want to read more of the books I already own. Like all these books, I cannot wait to read. These Canada Reads books I really want to dive into. I think they'll be fantastic. I couldn't believe how much I love the Canada Reads nominees. But the fact is I have a goal to read books that I bought before this year. So backlist books for me. Next one's going to be Bianca and Orja by Anna Marie Macamore. And the cover I don't much like. Her other covers are usually gorgeous. Warcross, by Marie Lu. I was hesitant to get this because I haven't read Ready Player One. I guess I'm just hesitant to get into this sort of, virtual reality. Something about virtual reality in my mind just seems not appealing, and I don't know why, because I love sci-fi. So I'm taking a risk with this and hoping I love it. Okay, the next one is Robots vs. Fairies. This one, it won my heart with this cover, but it also won, I think, the Lucas Award, maybe the Shirley Jackson Award this year for anthology, and it's a weird sci-fi fantasy anthology, all centered around robots and fairies. I'm pretty sure one of the stories was featured in the new I Love Robots or Death Love Robots on Netflix, which was fantastic, by the way. You absolutely have to check it out. This one I'm intrigued by. It's not on audio, which will make it harder to read. I think it's manageable. Also, it's just, how do you look at this and you not fall in love with it? I have to read this year. Next one's going to be No Exit by Taylor Adams. Another Books and Lala, and I think Gabby Reed's recommendation. And then two more, which will be thrillers. Both Karen Slaughter. The Good Daughter and Pieces of Her. Also, just because I saw them on Book Outlet. And they're also both signed, which is cool. I also always want to make a point to read Karen Slaughter above all the other thrillers that I'm trying to get into now, because I don't know if she's Georgian, but all the books are set in Georgia, so I'm assuming she's Georgian. And I'm from Georgia, originally at least, so some home reading. I may have said earlier in this video that I was going to talk about my thrift books buys for this month, but since it's so much going on with coronavirus, I don't expect to see those books, or my family, sadly. I'm not sure which is worse. I'm kidding, I do know which is worse. And you do too. The books. No. They're both terrible, but I won't get to see them. Okay, sorry. I gotta stay positive here. So I'm not gonna see it anytime soon. So I think what I might do is just not acknowledge that it's technically on my TBR, because it's on my sister's TBR at her house until I can go visit them and bring them back here. But when I do, go pick it up, I'll make sure to do a massive book haul to show all the books I bought from thrift books and other places online in America. Honestly, I don't like doing book hauls. I've now done it. I did one in February, did one this month now. But it's not because I do it for the month. I don't like doing monthly because usually when I buy a book, I just get so excited to organize it on my shelves, on my TBR shelves. And that's it. But I guess it's the reason I'm doing it now is because it's so big. The reason I did it in February is I was light on content and I needed something to talk about. In general, book hauls aren't something I'm interested in making. Of course, there are special exceptions where I go insane and I have to document that. But in general, yeah, I'm not going to talk about all the books I buy. I'd rather talk about the books I'm going to read or want to read, or the books I loved, or the books I hate, or the books that are meh. Books. Well, that's that. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you're intrigued by any of the books. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and obviously stay safe. Wash your hands, social distancing. To my family specifically, you do not have to hug each other. Hello every time you see each other, or even goodbye. Some of us are at high risk, and even if you're not at high risk, the fact is you have to be safe for those that are. Be extra cautious. Wipe down your phones with some type of alcohol or some type of cleaning product. Clean your hands regularly. Don't touch your face. And if you do, just make sure that you clean your hands even more frequently to make up for it. I know it can be hard. And please just be safe. And Jesus Christ, I don't want my family to die. Is that too dark? That's too dark. Bye.